So I think that it shows two sides. He didn't check out everybody to see what they were
No,
doing, you
not at
know.
all. He was just pushing, a propagandist, very racist
Yeah.
line that is, again, the reason why the question you asked, why are the young people, that unfortunately is what is being promoted. And
Hmm.
so some people, unfortunately, are internalizing that because of the lack of exposure and
Hmm.
knowing that our ancestors were the creators of civilization.
Nations, right.
We're the creators of civilization.
Hmm.
So you would have to either not know that, in order to accept some of this
Yeah, right.
backwards. You would have to
Hmm.
be devoid of that knowledge,
Hmm.
right, in order to accept something as backwards
Hmm.
as that.
Did you ever have any trouble when you was a electrical engineer or on the jobs or any places that you work because of your color or your gender?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, in fact, the reason I should state this, another reason that I left
Hmm.
corporate America was, at the time, a very racist employee magazine was printed, and it was showing AT&T reaching out across the world, and on every continent they had a person on the phone,
Hmm.
and they had the telephone poles and the wires and everything. But once your eyes settled on Africa,
Hmm.
they had a gorilla on the phone. No other continent had any animals but Africa with this gorilla. So needless to say, the employees, we were furious. We cut up our AT&T credit cards. We were ready to lay down on the cement and just, stop the world. And,
Hmm.
it's events like that was my Rodney King moment. That was
Hmm.
my, I think every generation has, unfortunately, can reflect on these racist incidents that can inspire you to
Hmm.
say, we've got to do something else. This got to be another
Hmm.
way,
Hmm.
outside of what is being promoted. There's
Hmm.
got to be another way. And that is one of the um, incidents that propelled me into saying, well, there's got to be,
Hmm.
I, my, I enjoyed, working at AT&T, but I just felt like my time was being wasted.
Hmm.
My talents were being wasted because some of the people there had this idea
Hmm.
of what our people were bringing to the table, and I just thought I could spend my time better,
Hmm.
and I felt that after reading, Invisible Man
Hmm.
and Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro, I just felt that our community was the one who needed to know more than any other community what we had done.
Hmm.
Our community needed to know,
Yes, we
because
do.
here I had these degrees. I'm supposed to be educated, and I didn't know. I thought, well, oh my goodness, there could be others.
Yes, they did know,
In
right.
fact, this is a part of the education system, is to leave this out.
Hmm.
So I said, I've got to do what I can
Hmm.
to share, this wonderful history that is empowering.
Hmm.
It is life-changing. It is
Yes, yes.
fulfilling. It's so many things to your spirit,
Hmm. It,
you
it it
know.
really is. You know, I mean, it's you. You have this store here, and I know people all over the area that continue to come to it, and it's just a great place. I see all the
Thank
books
you.
that's written that's here, and all the great people you've had here. I want to get back to your father again.
Yes.
Right, yeah. You told me that not too long ago that he gave you homework even while you was an adult. What type of homework was that?
Okay. So he always would preface it with, um, this is for your consideration.
Hmm.
In fact, he didn't always like me to call it homework, But because it came very frequently, and it was always regarding reading, it was usually a current event in the newspaper or a magazine, and he would always select, he wouldn't just say read the whole thing, he would select specific books that were being highlighted or a museum exhibit that was related to Black history. It was always tailored, you know, to something either I was personally interested in or something he thought my customers would be interested in. And so whenever I'd go to visit, there was a stack for me. I'd say, okay, Dad, do I have any homework today? And he'd, you know, go over to the stack and yep, and there it was. And he never missed a beat. And so I called that my homework. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing, you know, tell us a bit about your mom, because you know, before your dad died, I think it was last year, I had a chance to see him, you know, come up here at the bookstore, and your mom. You know, tell me a bit about your mom.
Well, I will just segue into it by saying they were married for 59 years.
Oh my.
Okay, and witnessing that kind of commitment was a phenomenon. I mean, it was just a phenomenon to see how the love continues to grow. We affectionately called them the love birds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And to the extent where she would, when she would come home, she would call out this cooing sound, and he would respond wherever he was in the house with a, you know, cooing response. And oh my goodness, we never witnessed them argue. And I actually spoke at the homegoing services. I said that one day I was helping, you know, I was a caregiver. Dad would allow me to help out in the caregiving, and I thought I was seasoned at the time. And I was helping him to bed, and I was making sure I'd done everything. And I said, "Is everything okay?" I, you know, crossed off everything on the calendar. I put his eye drops in, kiss on the forehead, and he said, "Well, I won't be content until your mother arrives." Now this is after 58 years. He's saying, "I won't be content." So that's who Mom is.
Right.
That's what Mom is, you know, fulfilling in his heart. And she, in and of herself, part of the Gaydon trio, which her and her sisters were on the Ed Sullivan Show back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about
they
that.
sound so beautiful. Angels is how they sounded. And their father, Frederick Douglass Gaydon, he was named after Frederick Douglass, was of course the proud father, but they would go to various church functions and sing. And Mom just, singing is like breathing for her. She loves to sing. She started as an alto, and now she's a soprano. Isn't that interesting? Because usually the voice, right, you would think, right. And she is a spectacular singer, and she just touches your soul whenever you hear her. And she has sung, yes, at a few of the events here at Afriware Books. And everyone who meets her, they just say she's the sweetest person on earth.
Yeah, she is.
She just is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to get back to this Black history, what we talked about for our youths. I know that you're probably disappointed about how much our youth do know about African and Black history. What do you think is going to be able to kind of tip it off to, so they can learn more knowledge? You know, I really see many of the educators really not fulfilling, you know, the requirements to teach Black history or African history in the schools, because I've been to several of them. What do you think is going to really do it, get it off? For that Black education, you know, history-wise.
Well, you know what? There's so many different doorways that our history can be taught from. There's so many different avenues, it really is what I'm trying to say, that could lead to teaching about Black history. For example, in my generation, you know, I grew up with the Jackson Five, okay? And at some point, the Osmonds, remember the Osmonds?
Oh, yes, I remember the Osmonds.
They came on the scene. And I just remember saying, why are they showing the Osmonds? I mean, the Osmonds were okay, but oh my goodness, the Jackson Five was it.
Yeah.
And you just naturally, you have those moments where you just start to ask, well, I don't understand, you know, why aren't they playing, you know, why isn't the Jackson Five just prominent all of the time? Because they were clearly the most, you know, the highest quality they displayed. And I think that every generation has those moments. I think, I don't even want to say the name of I think the rap industry has had that, the jazz industry has had that, where there are clearly African American originated genres that somehow become co-opted. And it makes you, it forces you to ask the question, well, whatever happened to, you know, the Sun Houses and all of the great, you know, the greats who originated. It's just a natural kind of curiosity, I think, that that comes when one group is kind of moved out. And that is a launching pad.
Yes.
That you can say, well, in this country, you know, that seems to be the modus operandi. When we were in Africa, and by the way, of course, our history did not start here. When we got here, we have thousands of years, right, in Africa before even getting here. So any current event, you know, you can start there and just work your way back. But a lot of times, I think educators don't, they may not want to start, you know, at a middle ground. You know, I, in fact, have, as a teacher, have made sure to kind of stay up to date, right, with current events or what is being talked about, so that you can at least start with their, you know, their interests, and then as you introduce various nuances, then they will start to ask, well, what happened to this, and what about that? And then you're slowly luring them. You're slowly luring them into this wellspring. Right. This wellspring of knowledge and
just like you were, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You were brought into this knowledge of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel everyone is going to come this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And so.
Okay.
I think we have to wrap things up.
I think it's time for a commercial, isn't it? Yes, it's time for a commercial right now. We'll be right back. Now we're back. And see, will you tell me about your immediate family, you know, growing up here in Chicago, and what the places you lived there, that you stay in the same house all the time, you know? Tell us about the background that made you the person that you are right now.
Oh, thank you. Well, there's 5 of us, 3 boys, and I'm the first girl, and I have a younger sister. And we grew up on the south side of Chicago, and that is, while we're in Maywood, while my store is in Maywood, you know, I will always love the south side of Chicago. I just love the lakefront, and we used to, I went to camp at Rainbow Beach, and Bret Hart, you know, was my grammar school, and Kenwood Academy. And, you know, Hyde Park, Harold Washington, okay? I remember seeing him walking on the streets of Hyde Park, and oh my goodness, how proud we were during his campaign and after he won, and oh my goodness, and wearing the blue buttons. Yeah, I love the South Side of Chicago, and I went to Chicago Public Schools. I never knew it as, oh, this is, the school system that is any different from anywhere else. It's just wherever we just had to get, hundreds on everything. So.
Right. That was the requirement.
So, Dad laid down that law, very early on. So whatever we were doing, we just had to be, the best in it. And all of us are, very accomplished. My oldest brother, Irving Jr., he's my go-to for any cell phone technical related item. Oh, yes, I have my degrees in that, but he has taken it to a completely new level. So he worked at Hewlett-Packard for a long period of time, and he's just a guru type of guy. And
what, computers? Or?
Yeah, definitely computers. And my brother David, he works with, and I do want to mention Gabby and his wife, of course. She's so cute. Our niece, he works for the environmental, I want to say this correctly. There's an environmental division of the government that he works for. And of course his high standards accompany him wherever he goes. He also is the one who's responsible for Afriware Books being on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just like, oh no, we don't need to do that. And he's like, just try it. He set up my page and everything, and oh my goodness, now we have 2,000 followers. So, so he's my next older brother. My younger brother, Paul, works downtown, and everyone has this affinity for technology, and so he just, whatever has to be set up in the home, video player, Blu-ray player, all that stuff, he can handle that.
Okay.
And then Joy is the youngest. She is a singer, even though she hasn't been singing recently, but she's a very good singer. She's a pianist, and she's also working downtown as a legal secretary or administrative assistant. Yeah.
Did everybody have to learn how to play piano?
Oh, all of us, absolutely. Yes, that was just what we had to do. We had to play piano. And I used to play, I still on occasion will play some Bach inventions. I really liked those. And I thought I was going to be the next Andre Watts, because of course Dad took us to see him in concert, and I just was like, oh my gosh, this black man, is playing just so beautifully. I can do that. However, once I got to high school, Dad sat me down and said, you know what, you also need to eat, and musicians and artists, unfortunately, are not as respected in this society and rewarded financially as such. So I said, okay. So I sat down with the counselor at the school, and I said, well, I don't know what else I can do. I said, I do like math. He said, okay, go into engineering. I said, okay. I didn't realize that 2% of the graduates were African American. I just knew, okay, I'll try it, and unfortunately there was only 2 of us that graduated.
In the class.
In the class, yeah. That started. We started together. Leslie Eccles. We were the only 2 females at the time, but we stuck together.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of a close family. Everybody had to learn to play piano. And
yes.
Have you ever taught elementary or junior high or high school besides college?
Let me say this. Yes, I was invited to Trinidad to Well, actually, I put together a math camp for young people. It was for middle school students.
Okay.
And it was a 4 or 5 week camp in the summertime. And I decided that the cultural nuances to Trinidad I would incorporate into the math camp so that it would have more relevance for them and also be interesting to them. And when I couldn't believe, first of all, let me say this, after the first 2 days, and this is like 4 hours a day, after the first 2 days, the students not just asking me, begging me for homework. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Oh my God, begging for homework.
Begging me for homework. And I thought, wow, these are special, special students, you know. And I mean, their level of interest, you know, was out of this world. You know, I'd never heard of that. First of all, it's summertime, right? And so in Chicago, you're expecting, in Chicago in the summer, you're going to be outside having fun. But they were just like, oh, they really enjoyed it. And in fact, after the school, they were, you know, they asked if I could give them some more problems. I knew that I wanted to, you know, my main thing was to make it fun, you know, and there's many ways of doing that. For example, you know the game Twister?
I don't think I ever
Twister, right foot red, you know, imagine multicolored circles on the floor, and you would just right foot red. Well, I did the same type of thing for graphing for coordinate geometry. So once I explained to them the map for positive and negative numbers on the graph,